All right, we are live. Welcome, everyone, to tonight's rendition of Moshiach Matters. The words of the King, Devar Malchus. For all of our faithful listeners, we will all stand together and be very happy when Moshiach reveals himself, and he will smile at each one of us and say, Yeshakoyach, thank you for doing exactly as I instructed to prepare for Mashiach by learning and teaching about the redemption, which is what we do here every Monday night. All right, so let's get cracking. We're on Parshas Chukat. It's actually a double Parsha, but we're just going to do Chukat tonight. And let's get started. Aleph. Yom Zeh Kachol Yemei Hashana B'Ruach HaYehudi Torani Rechavav Mishnei Meninim Hayom HaShavua V'Yom HaChodesh. The Rebbe says, in general, throughout the year, the calendar of a Yid, generally it's known, we go by the lunar calendar. Truth is, we actually do both the lunar and the solar, but mostly by the lunar. And so there's whatever day we find ourselves as an auspicious day based on the day of the week as well as the day of the month. Hayom hayom hashvi b'shavua, yom hashvi'i v'hayom ha'esrei b'chodesh. And when this sikha was given, the Rebbe explains that it was the seventh day of the week, which is on Shabbos, which is when the Rebbe gave these sikhas over, and the 10th day of the month of Tammuz. Shnei meninim elu, yemei hashavua, yemei hachodesh, v'chashvim al pi shnei hashvonot shonim, hakovi'im es haluach hatorasani. So the Rebbe said both of these matters are taken into consideration in calculating the time of the year that we are in. Nothing like a little chassidus and some wine. Ooh, it's a good one. Based on the day of the week and the day of the month. And the connected to Mahalach HaShemesh, Shabbat HaTeluim Yemei HaShavua, the movement of the sun, which is determinative of the day of the week. And Mahalach Havana, Shabbat HaTeluim Yemei HaChodesh, and the movements of the moon, which determine the day of the month. Kavachol in Torah Herchudos and Shnei Meninim Elo Makarim Hasher Shalom Elahim Nikvo'o Kach Bekavana B'Diuk Al Dei HaKodesh Baruch Hu. And all these matters of the Torah are precise, and there's no things that are Chas v'Shalom determined by coincidence. Everything is guided through the hand of God. Hey mashkifim shnei sidirim ba'ofen shavo HaKodesh Baruch Hu ba'al manhegas adam. And these two calculations, the days of the week and the day of the month that we find ourselves, reflect precisely a specific way in which God is conducting the world, if you will. And from this, it's capable for every single Yid to determine and to learn what it is specifically that the specific time that we find ourselves of the day of the week and the day of the month, and how that applies to our service of Hashem. And certainly we can understand also the connection to the day, the seventh day of the week, as well as the 10th day of the month, which is what we're talking about today. In general, we can learn out something that is connected to our service of why we're here. that each one has an individual significance in and of itself. And both of them combined together have a specific significance in that capacity as well. Excuse me. שיש ביניהם שייכות עד שהם נעשים דבר אחד. המורחב משני מינים שביע ועשרים. כיוון שיום זהו Shabbos Parshas Hukas. So now, in addition to the fact that it's the 7th day of the week and the 10th day of the month, the Rebbe is going to bring forth the fact that there is also a significance. One second. To the parsha we're in, which is Parshas Chukat, which means law. Yom b'chodesh Tammuz, harizeh morashi yesh lezer shaychos im haparsha v'im hachodesh, v'im shaychos im hayamim hamizrachim meshabbos zu. Okay, and on top of it, we see a connection specifically to this Shabbos, which is Yud Beis Yud Gimel Tammuz, which is exactly the Shabbos upcoming, which of course is the Geula of the Frierdiker Rebbe, the day he was released from prison, also the Frierdiker Rebbe's birthday, and Beis Sheva Eser of Tammuz, and the fact it's also benching the 17th of Tammuz, which historically not the greatest day for the Jewish people. The date is the beginning of the 3 weeks, the Ben HaMitzrim, the weeks of narrowing, the challenging times for the Jewish people leading up to the 9th of Av. And also, mainly, we have to connect this to the true and complete redemption, which the Rebbe connects everything in these sichos to. The fact that the Rebbe said that the main time that we are in, that everything has been completed, we've finished all our work that is incumbent upon us as a nation. And this has been discussed a lot recently, and specifically in the most recent times. Okay, base. In general, we see the difference between the days of the week and the days of the month as follows. The 7 days of the week are not connected, as we would say, to the deeds of man. In other words, God set those, right? God created the world in 7 days. He set up this system of these days. God arranged it. God said, and this will be the first day and the second day, the evening and the day. It's known in the Hebrew world, we start our days counting at the night before. That's what it says. God said in the order of creation, this is the evening and this is the day, and these are connected to the movement of the sun. And of course, the seventh day is connected to the holiness of Shabbos. Shabbos Shabbos is the day that blesses and fulfills the entire week, the days that come before it as well as the days that come after. This is not the case as the days of the month, which are set by the Beis Din. Yisrael v'kashishenu is manu. Yisrael v'kashishenu the Rosh Chodeshim is the first mitzvah that was given to the Yidden to count the months and to sanctify each month. We have a Rosh Chodesh. It's like a mini Rosh Hashanah every single month. Kafi shehu gam pashtus enyanim sheva'as yemei bereshis hayum yad betchilas habriya מה שאין כן קידוש החודש הוא מצווה שאמרו לבני Israel. The days of the week, of course, were set into motion by Hashem himself when he created the world. But the days of the month God gave to us to count and to determine how many days will be in each month, whether it's 29 or 30, as we know the way the Hebrew calendar is set up. And this was given over to the Yidden to figure out below through the Beis Din. It's the first mitzvah that was given to us as a nation when we went out of Egypt. And this is the beginning of the service of the Yidden in keeping Torah and mitzvahs. That is above from creation, because Torah and mitzvot are above the ordinary course of creation. They bring in additional light and blessings to the world. Ubaruch Yemei Hashavua Kaya Al Seder Habriya Kafi Shenivra'a B'mila'o Ayde Kodesh Baruch Hu. Olam Al Mi'ilui Nivra. כמו שכתוב, אלה תולדות השמיים והארץ, והברעם. תולדות מעלה כסיף. ימי החודש קרא ההספר וחידוש, שנפעל בהבריאה על ידי עבודת האדם. Yep. And we see, and the spiritual underpinnings to these things, that the days of the week are referring to on the order of the creation. We know that was fulfilled through Hashem himself. And at the same time, the days of the month are dependent upon the counting. And this is something that is renewed based on specifically connected to the service of man below. Asher Elokim Lasois, the Tikkun Shepoalim Chodesh Pilush Shleimus B'Kol Habriya. That Hashem gave to us this tikkun. In other words, we're in Olam HaTikkun, as it's called, the world of fixing up, of repairing. And this is the unique thing that was given to us to bring completion to the world around us. Shemayim chadashim v'haaretz chadash, and it's known when Moshiach comes will be new heaven and new earth. This will take place in the full and complete redemption. Eda told those parrots, and this is connected to the offspring of parrots versus the offspring of heaven and earth. And this will reach a state of what we say is fullness, meaning the work that has been placed upon us as a nation will be completed, and we will see how all the work of the Yidden over thousands of years, the blessings and the completion that we have brought to bring the world to its state of completion. Our sages teach us that if the Goyim would have realized the blessings that they get from the Beis Hamikdash, if they understand the blessings that they get that come directly from the blessings of the Yidden, and how when we fulfill Torah and mitzvot, that we bring blessings to the entire world and sustain the whole world, none of them would ever dream of harming a Jew or trying to destroy the Beis Hamikdash, because it would be destroying themselves, which unfortunately is what a lot of people want to do. It's hard for people to understand when they look around and they see our so-called leaders destroying this country. And people say, you have to be a moron to think that these people are just stupid or they don't know what they're doing. You look at New York, you look at California, you think the governors are that dumb? You think the people controlling the puppet who's the president of America are that stupid? Absolutely not. This isn't by happenstance, it's by design. They're intentionally trying to destroy this country. And a logical person would say, why would anyone want to do that? Because the seed, the root of evil is hatred, which emanates from self-hatred. Just like the root of good is goodness, which emanates from self-goodness. In other words, the desire of one to do good, there's no reason for that. You just want to do good. That's how most people operate. But people who want to do evil, their nature is destruction. And that destruction means for no particularly good reason. There's no logic. They, just like those who work in light and goodness, do it because that's what fulfills them to bring good into the world. Those who work on evil and destruction, it fulfills them to bring evil to the world. And that's what people can't understand, that there's actually that level of evil that is intentionally trying to destroy your families, destroy your children, destroy your lives, and destroy your country. Oh, no, that's conspiracy theories. Okay. See what's going on in the world. Prove me different. Anyways, let's consider it on. ובשורש העניינים מקור החילוק זהו משתי הדרגות באלוקוס. אלוקוס בערך להבריאה, מדבשוס בהבריאה, שבוע, אלוקוס למעלה מהבריאה, חודש. And this level of counting the days of the week and the days of the month show the level of godly energy that enters into the world through both of these countings. There's a godly energy that is enclosed in the nature of the world, and that is what God did to create the 7 days of the week. And there's a godly energy that is above from the creation of the world, and that is connected to the days of the month, which has been placed in our hands. Gimel. V'yesh lomar shezeh mistakef b'miuchad v'chachiluk ben yom hashvi'i v'yom ha'esri shnei chaminim deyom zeh. And there is to say that this is reflected specifically in the division between the 7th day of the week and the 10th day of the month. Shvi'i mora'ah shleimas ha'hekef v'habriya. The number 7 we know is a completion in the natural sequences of creation. Sheva Yemei Bereshis, God created the world in 7 days. Sheva Yemei ha'chekaf. We have 7 emotional attributes that God used to create the world. Last night at our house, we celebrated our Sheva Brachas. After a wedding, there's 7 blessings, particular festive meals. Sheves Yemim. The number 7 is a level of godly energy that is enclosed within the nature of the world. But the number 10, is connected to a level of godly energy that is above the worlds. Esra Spheros, 10 Sphirot, including the Mochin, the Chabad, HaKlalos, Eshloisha, HaMochin, Shehem, the Ma'al, Ha'oidam, because the world is built on the 7 emotions, and our brain, our intellect, is a level of godly energy that is above that. Hegilui de Bechinas Esra, Nifal Idea Avodas Adam, and the revealing of the level of 10 is brought about specifically through our service. וגילוי דבחינת 10 נפעל ידי עבודת אדם שמוסיף ומחדש את המשחת דגמל מוחין באופן שנעשה שלמות הגילוי ד10 נוסף על גילוי דבחינת 7 והבריאה גם מגילוי דגמל מוחין. So we see, in addition to this number we're talking about, and then in addition to the 7, there's an additional 3 of what we call as mochin, or our intellectual capacities or faculties called chabad that are in our brain, in such a way that these reveal and complete the number 10. And this adds on to the 7 of creation. And by revealing our brains, our intellect, which is above the nature, so to speak, we bring about the completion within the nature. And the service of man, as it is written, Muvor Chassidus explains, that it says God has already given the 7 lands of the 7 natures, of the 7 nations into our hands. Because the main work of a mensch in this world is to rectify our 7 emotional attributes. But in the true and complete redemption, God will give us all 10 of the lands of our enemies, including Kini, Kenizi, Kadmoni, the final 3 lands, which are made up of Chokmah, Bina, and Keter, respectively. Because then we will reach the ultimate completion in our service of God. And then we will have the service of the 3 mochin, the Chabad faculties, in and of themselves, a level that we have not used as up to this point in time. Dollar. Puala, Dishnanini, and the Shavua, Esrei, Kashura Bezer, Shaburia, Atzma, Tziot, Shtei Dargos Edom. And now we're going to break these down into 2 further levels. The written Torah explains that God created the world in 7 days. And God completed his work in the 7 days. The Torah Shabbat Peh and the oral Torah, the Gemara, the Talmud, Torah Perush Nitna, Na'amar Shabbat Eser Maimaris Nivra Olam. Speaks about the 10 sayings that God used to create the worlds. Yesh Lamar Shezeh Meti'im Zeh Shachiluk Shebein Torah Shabbat Torah Shabbat Peh Al Derech Chiluk Ben Shabbat Eser. And we see the fitting connection between the written Torah and the oral Torah. The written manifesting the 7 and the written and the oral the 10. Shabbat Torah Chasu, the written Torah, Nidum ben the Ma'alam HaKodesh, who was given from above from Hashem. Lo shach Adam Yosef bo chas v'shalom, and it's not fitting at all for us to alter any of that, God forbid. B'tzad darga zeh zu shahamshachas elukus medamayla shleimus abriyahiyah ba'ifin dishva'ah. And this level that is drawn down from God, from above, in the completion of creation in a way of 7. And this gives us the power to rectify our 7 emotional attributes, which correspond to the 7 days of the week. This is a level of godly energy that is channeled and connected to this natural world, if you will. Torah Shabbat Peh and the oral Torah. This was revealed through the service of the power of the wise of the Jewish people throughout the generations. It's known one of the fundaments of the oral Torah, besides the Gemara that is given, is that halacha is obviously set as it is, but the rabbis throughout time and generation, based on the time and place we're in, have to adjust those halachas in accordance with technology as things advance, to be able to build further fences around the Torah and whatnot. And the result of this is that the rabbis renew or bring about many new details as they connect to the 613 mitzvot. They're not changing the Torah, God forbid, but they're bringing an understanding of how we are to act in our specific date and place and time where we are. And therefore, this is emphasized specifically by the 10 sayings that God created the world with, the 10 utterances. And therefore, we see the connection of the service in the down here below to the number 10, which is representative by the oral Torah. זה נותן כוח לעבודה בכוח העצמאי לעשות תיקון. And this is giving the power to serve in and of itself and in order to fix up the world, the puah chaispa, the chiddush habriya, to add on and bring out a unique thing in creation. And therefore, we are able to reach the ultimate completion of our service in this world. And this will be complete once we have the offspring of parrots. In other words, once Moshiach gets here, we will see all the work we've been doing for thousands of years and the revealed blessings as a result of such. Hey. And both of these matters, 7 and 10, they each have an advantage over the other. Hamila deshvei, the advantage of the 7th. He shazahi shleimas habriya, kufi shagodas baruch hu bra oisa matchila. Toiv shleimas matchila. The advantage of the 7 is that the completion of the world as it was set up from Hashem was set up right from the beginning. In other words, God said this was good right from the outset. There was no additional work needed for creation, so to speak. And therefore, everything was enclosed within the channels of nature, and the 7 days of the week brought about the completion within the natural channels, if you will. And the advantage of 10 is this brought about the capacity to reveal godliness in a way that is substantially higher than the levels of creation, if you will, meaning a level of godly energy that we're capable of bringing down above the normal courses of nature. As it's written, the 10 is connected to holiness. The kodesh ma'ala begamriha. In other words, 7 is connected to nature, while 10 is connected to holiness, if you will, or above the nature. Darga, the kodesh ma'ala begamriha. Al legamri. Meninim acharin. Alachas kama v'kama darga olam. Gam Shabbos hu dargas kodesh malay gamariya. Avazek afi shahakad dusha amshachas melamayla. We see Shabbos, of course, also is connected to holiness, as it says that the Shabbat day is holy, but this is a holiness that is drawn down from above. This is not the case of the number 10 being holy, specifically brought about from our service down here in the lower world. And this is reaching from a level that while it's being drawn down from above, it is brought about through our actions below. And according to this, we could see and understand the advantage of this. The 7th day of the week and the 10th day of the month. And the goal is to unify both of these energies. The number 7 representing gvul, or boundaries within the nature. And the number 10 representing bligvul, or above boundaries or limitations, above the nature. As we said in the beginning, a level of godliness as it is connected to the world, and a level of godliness that is above the world. And the goal is to unify both of these energies together. To draw down a level of godly energy that is completely above the world and draw down into the existence of the world itself. יש לומר שאין זה מרומז גם בכוח, החיבור דאשביע זין ועשרי יוד הוא שבע עשר. Oh, so the matter of this is hinted on how we're going to bring together these two energies. The 7, which is connected to the nature, and the 10, which is connected to above the nature. And we do that through the number 17. 17, the gematria Tov, is the gematria of Tov, or good. Tov stam bli ta'ar b'gvul. Tov, meaning good in and of itself, without any descriptions. Good is good. Why? Because it's good. And in order for something to be good, this must include being good above and being good below. Right? It's the same thing with us. We can't be good if we're healthy in our bodies and not good. And we can't be good if we're only healthy in our bodies, or only healthy in our soul, only healthy in our mind. We need everything, right? That's how God set us up. All the levels of our soul. We have to have healthy bodies. We have to have healthy emotions. We have to have a healthy brain, mental faculties. We can't be mentally sick. And we have to be healthy in our soul, in our spiritual in connection to Hashem. All of these have to operate together. Otherwise, it's not good. You can't be lacking in any capacity, or everything becomes lacking. And good is revealed right from the beginning. In other words, that is good. Hey, what's up, Doug? And we see this as it's connected to the creation of the world. And what did God say? This is good. And in fact, when God saw all that he had done, he said, this is very good. And Tov is connected specifically to the service of man. And the Rebbe said, this is connected to our work, to make sure that things are good in the world and above the world, right? But can't have one without the other. It has to be gvul and bli gvul. You can't have completion in this world if you are a mental genius. Your brain is very focused. You don't have any mental health issues. Your emotions are in tune, and your body is healthy. You got a good parnasah, but there's no God in your life. It doesn't work. You're lacking. On the other hand, you can have an amazing connection to God. You could be the holiest person in the world and have mental health issues, or have emotional issues, or have physical issues. So all of these things have to align. Vav. Excuse me. According to this, we can understand the relevance to the 17th of Tammuz. 7 and 10, of course, is 17th. That is blessed by this specific Shabbos, which is the 10th of the month. As we already pointed out, 17 is the gematria for good. Seconds, let me do a time check. 19, 44, 25, 12, 31. Oh, good. Okay. Sheva Esther who begatri Tov Kivan Shlemas Atov Kasher Yishnai Gam Biguli Hatay Benimir Tov Ligvo Shemustar Mizgala Ida Varazadam. And the number 17, of course, has to reveal good in its entire being, not just external, but internal as well. Toiv bli gvul, a good that has no boundaries or no limitations. In other words, Again, everything has to be aligned. It can't be that, yeah, of course, yeah, a lot of people go through this world and it's their focus is on one particular aspect. The everything has to have balance, everything has to be centered, everything has to be fulfilled. You can't have any area that's lacking. You could learn Hasidus and keep Torah and do mitzvahs all day long and be seriously mentally ill. We see it all the time. Shema Rachamim, there are child abusers in our community with long beards who wear long black coats and learn Hasidus every day. Obviously not helping them. On the other hand, we have people who are very, as we said earlier, very healthy in their minds and their bodies and their emotions, but there's no connection to God. So they're not healthy because everything has to align. Again, that's why we have different levels of our soul. If something is out of whack, if something is off balance, you're not good. You're not, I mean, maybe a good person, but I'm saying that energy is not flowing in a state of goodness because that energy it can't get stuck anywhere. It has to come from above, has to channel through your brain, through your emotions, down into your body, anywhere that we have of a blind spot. That darkness takes the light and it diverts it, and we don't even realize. And we walk around and we have no idea why we feel the way we do, why we get angry, why we're on edge, whatever challenges we're having, because things are not in a state of equilibrium. So the Rebbe is saying this level of good has to be good through and through. It has to be good in Gvul and Bli Gvul. It has to be good in our connection to God above the nature. It has to be connected to our thoughts, emotions, and physical actions in the nature. And the Rebbe, of course, is alluding to the 17th of Tammuz, which is coming up, which is going to be in next week's Parsha, which is Balak. Let me just see if there's something in here that I want to add on, since we will not have the Sikha next week because we will be in Peru hiking Machu Picchu. Anyways, the Rebbe gets into it at length in next week's Sikha. Now's not the time to go into it, but basically the idea is that every fast day, as the Rebbe is bringing out now, the innermost dimension of the fast day is good. It's called Yom Ratzon Hashem, a day of will for God. That through revealing the innermost dimension of good of the fast day, it removes the outermost dimension of it not being good. And this will be completely revealed in the true complete redemption. We will see that not only will the fast days be nullified, they will be transformed into days of goodness and joy and happiness. Because everything is determined really with panimi. The most important thing is panimi, is inside, right? Panimi and pane is the same face. What is that? Your pane, your face, that's your face. Panimi is what's inside. You can see what's going on in someone by what's reflecting on their face. Right? So the idea is that when the innermost being is healthy, it manifests outwards, and that health affects our entire lives and affects the people around us. When we're healthy and inner good is flowing from us, how do we know? Because it reflects in the faces of the people around us. Our wives are happy with us, our kids are happy with us, our friends are happy with us, our co-workers are happy with us, the people around us are happy with us. When we're, on the other hand, constantly in batting heads with everyone around us, we could sit and say, look, everyone's crazy. Or we could say a lot of something. There must be something in my energy that's causing this combativeness from the people around me. Because ultimately, the world gets healed when we get healed. Because in the end of the day, there's only one person in this world that you can really transform, and that's yourself. No one else. We can try, we can be good to others, we can try to help them, we can help them along their journey and their path, but it's their journey and it's their path. Only our own journey is what we're capable of fixing. And that has to go and start from ultimately deep, deep, deep within. And it's not easy work because we all have blind spots. We all have dark spots on our souls, on our minds, and on our hearts, and our emotions, from our past, from previous Gilgulim, emotional, generational trauma. We've got all of it. Until we flush it out, that negativity is always going to reflect in the world around us. When Mashiach comes, obviously that good will come out. But, as the Rebbe said, that work is upon us. It's not upon anyone else. We can't kick back and wait for Hashem to take us out of exile, because it's not going to happen. That's not what works. The Rebbe said we need to be the ones to do the work. That's general work and that's specific work. We've got to bring redemption to ourselves. And by bringing redemption to ourselves, it automatically brings redemption to the world around us. Okay. Right, okay, so the days of these fast days, the innermost dimension will be revealed, and they will turn into days of great joy and goodness. Yom Tovim, good days, revealed good. Excuse me. Shetoy Panimi, Bo Bigilui, Kasher Shabbat, Eser Tammuz called Yom Shabbat. And there is to say that the innermost good, the good of the 17th of Tammuz, comes in a revealed way when the 17th of Tammuz falls on Shabbos. Yom Hashvi'i, the 7th day. As lo tzamim, because then you don't fast. What do we have it in this year? I don't think we get it on the... Oh no, the 17th of Tammuz is going to be on Thursday. We're going to be in Peru. So that particular year, in Nun, what is this? What is it? Nun base? Yeah. No, excuse me. The 17th of Tammuz came out on Shabbat, and therefore the Rebbe said, since you don't fast on Shabbos, when the 17th of Tammuz falls on Shabbat, on the contrary, it's a mitzvah to eat and drink even more than normal. Because Shabbos is a day of joy, of delight. Therefore, it pushes off the Shabbos, the joy of Shabbos pushes off the fast day. And therefore, automatically, the innermost dimension of that fast day is revealed as good. And it's a foretaste of how things will be in the complete redemption. Zoit, there is to say, and therefore the Rebbe said both of these advantages are revealed, the advantages of the 7 from above and the 10 from below. Hatam apashu isor atania Shabbos kivan sheShabbos hey min hatar hari doicha as hatania shehein b'divrei hakabal. And therefore, since the Shabbat is a biblical commandment, it pushes off the rabbinical commandment to fast on the 17th of Tammuz. Hatam lakach shokal ta'anias milvad yom hakippurim hein b'divrei kabbalah v'lo min haTorah. Only the Yom Kippur is the day that would push off that where you would have to fast on Shabbos. Tisha B'Av cannot fall on Shabbos. Hatam zeh yesh lomar al pi hachiluk hamedubar le'el bein haTorah sheb'kasuv v'Torah sheb'al peh min haTorah Torah chesed ein inin hatanias zoy tamar min haTorah kafi she'oidem hi mitzad l'mayla hayu b'mila b'hishlimus ve'ein sham inin bliti ritzoin shetzricho alav tanias. Mashe'en ken mitzay divrei hakabala Shepoiskim as halacha is al biharachas. Vetzara oidim before the matzah. We're talking about the difference in the biblical commandment versus what the rabbis have instituted. Harikivan shemetzara oidim the matzah yichoy lehiyos yirida al yidei chet harachmani litzlan. And therefore the rabbis did institute many of these fast days because we fell, Rachmani litzlan, Hashem should protect us, to very low levels. And as a result of it, we needed to do a tikkun. We needed to fix up the sins we did. And therefore, these fast days were instituted for us to do tshuva. The day of a fast is not for us to keep saying, when do we eat? Even though that's what we all do, right? When do we eat? How much more time is left? I don't know who does tshuva on fast days. Everyone's just sitting and looking at the clock. But that's not the purpose of a fast day. The purpose of a fast day is to do tshuva, to return to Hashem. And this brings about a newness in the creation, especially when a yid does tshuva, and that brings down through our service below. From the Torah comes out and revealed away the good that is revealed in the creation. Again, he's talking about the difference in the laws of the rabbis and the laws that come from the Torah. And since Shabbat specifically is midiraisa from the Torah, this is connected with the revealing of good from above, the number 7. And at the same time, the goodness and the joy of Shabbos forbids us to fast. But we connect this together with the number 10, which is connected to below again. And then, of course, we have the advantage of above and below, which brings us to 17, which, again, is good. That on Shabbos, that pushes off a fast day. It's not enough to eat and drink and joyful as we usually do, but you have to increase in your eating and drinking as normal. And it becomes a day of extra rejoicing. Because it's a foretaste, the Rebbe says, of pushing off the fast days forever, as will take place in the future to come. And the Rebbe, this is one of his famous things, he says all the time, that if the fast day is already being pushed off, it should be pushed off forever. There should never be another fast day. Zayin. Kasher Shiva Esrei Tammuz Chal b'Shabbat. HaShabbat Lifnei Zeh Shemimenu Yisbarek Shabbos Shiva Esrei b'Tammuz. Hu Tamid Yom Esrei b'Chodesh. V'yesh l'mor al derek ha'roimez be'inin ha'shvi v'esrei chibor ha'toyev v'gilui v'toyev ha'nilem. And the Rebbe said that the 10 and the 7, which is the theme of our class tonight, is not only unifying the upper and the lower, it's unifying the revealed and the concealed. Lamshachas habracha v'nitnas koach v'Shabbos haba'al l'pual eschibur the base of Ma'adah Shabbat v'Shabbat Esrei b'Tammuz Gilui Toiv Shabbat, which is from above. Gilui Toiv Panimi Shabbat Eser Gematria 10 plus 7 is 17. Again, revealing the blessings of Shabbat coming from below and coming from above. V'yesh l'kasher zeh gam im kach shebeshva'a Eser b'Tammuz nistaveru haluchos ve'inyan hashviras haluchos shetoiv panimi. That this is, of course, the 17th of Tammuz is also connected to the day that Moshe broke the luchos, that he smashed the tablets. And we know that the breaking of the luchos, even though on a revealed plane it looked like a horrific thing, it was an innermost goodness that took place from that, because everything that happens is our innermost good. And how do we know? Because Hashem said to Moshe, Yesha koach, nicely done, good job. Because Because what did it do? It revealed specifically the power of us below in order to do what? Tshuva. To this whole concept of it's broken, you can fix it. Whatever you break, you can fix. That's a by the way a heavy task, by the way, for Baal Tshuvas. Not easy, because even though when we do tshuva from our hearts, God forgives us. It doesn't make a difference, right? If you break 100 windows in a building and you come and you say, I'm sorry, and the owner of the building says, I forgive you, guess what? You still got to fix the windows, right? So you still got to fix up the destruction you did in this world. Even if it was unintentional, even if you didn't know better, part of doing tshuva is fixing. You gotta fix what you broke. A lot of light has to be brought into the world to counteract the darkness that was brought into the world. And the Shabbos that comes before the 17th of Tammuz, which is this Shabbos coming up. This enters the beginning, the start of the 40 days of Moshe going up to Har Sinai. Before the breaking of the luas. You break it, you buy it. That's correct. It emphasized an advantage over the first set of luchos. The first set of luchos are connected to the service of tzaddikim. But the second set of luchos are connected to Bali Tshuva, more connected to our work from below. Ches. Fine combination. Nice glass of Yatir wine and Chassidus. Wow, what a good combination. Yeah. Ches. Lo Haisef HaShaychis in Parshas HaShavua the Shabbos Ze Parshas Chukas. And we also see a connection to the Parsha of the week, Parshas Chukas. Hatam L'Kach Shena Amar Zayt Chukas HaTorah. These are the laws, the law of the Torah. Al Mitzvah Paraduma. And it's referring, of course, talking about the Mitzvah Paraduma, the red heifer. Mavor Chassidus explains, Kivan shemitzvahs paraduma klula mishnenim the ratzo v'shoiv. The whole idea of paraduma includes both of these matters of ratzo v'shoiv, which is going and returning. Srifa sapara, and the burning of the cow of its ashes. Yitain mayim chayim al keli. And this is giving that's the ratzai, and the pure water of the vessel for it is the shoiv, which is the return. Excuse me. And these two general ideas of going and returning include in the Torah. The going is referring to this burning desire and thirst that every yid has to literally leave this world and just connect to God's. And if you don't experience that feeling where you just are burning with rapture, where you want to connect to God and want nothing to do with this world, you need to dive in a little bit harder, do a little more heat notes. Because every Jew should experience these feelings where we're just so enamored with God, and the love from God that is so strong inside of us we can't contain it, and we want to run out of our bodies. That's a natural inclination of a yid. And if it's not there, then, it's something you got to work on. On the other hand, it's Kabbalah's that brings us back to this concept of we need to build a dwelling place for Hashem down below. So our true desire is to leave this world and to run back to God and just be enraptured and filled with the love of God. But our Kabbalah's forces us to stay in this world and reveal God in this world. Yeah, it's interesting because we naturally incline to the areas of the Torah that are closest to our avodas of Hashem. And it's good, don't get me wrong, you should learn the Torah that you love. But on the other hand, what we should really be doing is spending more time learning the things that we need. In other words, my natural desire is to fly out of this world, to go into the upper worlds and fly away. I love Kabbalah, I love Hasidus, I can learn it all day long. Halacha, not so much my thing. That's why I probably need to spend more time learning halachas and focusing on drawing that godly energy more into the world. On the other hand, people who really love learning halacha are probably a little too grounded into this world and need to spend a little bit more time with Hasidus and Kabbalah and get that burning passion of wanting to get out of here and connect to God above. Of course, the ultimate goal is to balance it out with both of those energies being equal. Anyhow, להמשך, ויש לומר הנרצה ושבים על דרך החילוק בין 7 ו-10. And this going and returning are also connected to the number 7 and 10. רצו אמרה עבודת התשוקה אלי למעלה מן העולם עד באופן התכללוס הנפש למעלה מהגבלוס הגוף עד עניין ה-10. The number 10 is connected to this burning desire of a yid that wants to go out of this world and out of our bodies and literally have our souls expire above to God. That's connected to the number 10. And this is connected to the level of Bli Gvul, no boundaries or limitations. And the Shuv, the service of going down below, from above to below, and drawing down the light into the vessels below, and the service of Kabbalah's old, this is connected to the number 7, or a more earthly, if you will, service. And of course, the completion of the service is we need them both. Yes, we do. Biachad. Im deratzoi v'klalus and nefesh tzarich aliyois avodas neshama v'guf. That the desire, the burning desire to go out of our bodies and of our soul expire and go up to Hashem, this service must contain itself in a way of a soul and a body. And therefore it's necessary that it emphasizes the intention of having to draw down this tremendous burning desire for God down into the physical world. And this is the pasuk of against your will you are created. And on the other hand, while we're working here down below, we should have a continuous burning desire to leave this world and go back up to Hashem. In other words, don't get so stuck in your work down here in the world that you don't have this burning passion for Hashem, that you've just gotten comfortable kind of working in the details of this world. That's Al Piana Yuvangam Hashaychus im Chag Hagula, Yud Beishu Gimotam Mishubarech, Abba Batat Gimot Yamim Berishoina, the Shabbazu, the Esrei Tammuz. And we see this Shabbos also is blessing Yud Beis Yud Gimot Tammuz. And actually, our Shabbos coming up, though, in Peru is going to be Yud Beis Tammuz. Yeah. Very interesting. Got to be careful. I don't want to being too hard. We got to leave early Sunday morning. Anyhow, that in actuality, the power to bring about the revealing of the 7 and the 10 down here in this world comes from a power that preceded the Torah. It's known that God looked into the Torah and created the world from the Torah. The Torah was a blueprint for the world. As we said above, there's the oral Torah and there's the written Torah. The written Torah was given from above. This is the level of the 7 coming down from above. the godly energy that comes from above down into the world, into a natural setting. And the oral Torah, this is bringing about a newness in creation connected to the service of man below. And the idea, of course, is to bring both of these together to have completion. And in a deeper way, it's the same thing of the importance of combining wine and Chassidus. No, that's not what it is. It's the power and the importance of combining the Pnimis Torah, Chassidus and Kabbalah, and the external part of the Torah, the halachas, the nigla. Gufa deraisa and Neshmasa deraisa, the soul of the Torah and the body of the Torah. Nigla the Torah megala ve'ikahu halachas, the revealed Torah mostly connected to halachas, kafish sarichan yanhad, but masa b'fuel. That teaches us how to act as a Jew in actuality every day. Kashor be'ikar im chelak begilui, and how we have to act in our place in the world. Aguf, connected more specifically to our bodies. The bodies of a yid and the bodies of those around us, meaning their surroundings. Makasher es hayehudi im bechinas gilui the Kodesh Baruch, gila the Kodesh Baruch. And the innermost dimension of the Torah is more connected to the souls of us and our surrounding areas. And through this, we're able to connect to the innermost dimension and levels of God. This is and from this we can understand that the power to reveal the goodness that is revealed in the world to the number 7 is mainly through the revealing of the Torah. And the power to reveal the good is the innermost dimension of the Torah, which is the number 10. And this is connected to the concealed good, or Chassidus, if you will. And the fast, and specifically things connected to this, Aide Panimis Torah, reveal the good part of the fast and the good part of anything. Part of the tremendous advantage of learning a lot of Chassidus and Kabbalah is the more you get to the inner part of the Torah, the more everything is just good, and there's no machlochis, there's no opposition, and that goodness reveals into the world. That's why it says that with the Zohar, we will be redeemed in peace. What does it mean? It means through learning the innermost dimension of the Torah, it brings peace around you. When you're too much focused on Gemara and Halacha, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying, but if that becomes too much of a focus, then your mindset get used to pilpurim, this opinion, that opinion. It's constantly opposition. On the other hand, the innermost dimension of the Torah brings peace. It brings a state of equanimity, of just revealed goodness. And ultimately, that's why when Moshiach comes, it says everyone's going to know halacha. There'll be no learning halacha, because every Jew will automatically know halacha. All we're going to do is learn Chassidus, and the innermost dimension of the Torah. Yeah. And the Rebbe says, in actuality, through contemplating in a deep way the soul, the innermost dimension of a thing, then you're able to reveal the goodness that's concealed. In other words, same thing with other people. When we're all the time in a state of pilpul, and this one's right, this one's wrong, in a way, it could cause a bad eye, where we're looking at people with an eye of, that one's not following this, that one's not dressing properly, that one's not davening properly, that one's not learning this. We're walking around looking what everyone's doing wrong. On the other hand, the Rebbe says, when we focus a lot on the innermost dimension of the Torah, the pnimius part of the Torah, the good that's pure good, guess what happens? We start to see and reveal the innermost good in everyone and everything around us. Otherwise, the Rebbe said, God forbid we could see the opposite of good. ועל פי זה יש לומר הגם שתורה שבעל פה כלל לא נסגר לו, אבל אז אדם למטה, זה בגש יסוד בגילוי פנימיוס התורה. And the Rebbe said not only that even the oral part of the Torah that is included and revealed to the surface of man below is emphasized even more through revealing the innermost part of the Torah. By revealing the secrets of the Torah, this applies to every single thing we do. It's like the famous story of this Litvak Rav who went to the Rebbe. He said to the Rebbe, he said, listen, who am I to, God forbid, criticize you? He said, but I just want to ask you, there's so much beauty in Judaism. There's so many beautiful halachas. There's so many things to learn about Shabbos, about kosher, about all the different laws and all the different things. Why so much with Chassidus, Rebbe? And the Rebbe said, because that's what works. And as you see, that is the focal point of preparing for Mashiach, is learning specifically Chabad Chassidus. Okay, by revealing the innermost part of the Torah, the secrets of the Torah, I already said that. Okay, וזהו אחד הטעמים לכך שגילוי פנימיוס התורה שמתאספים לעתיד לבוא בו דווקא ידי עבודת הריחוס בגלוס הזה. And this is one of the reasons the Rebbe says, to reveal the innermost part of the Torah, which is connected to the Gimel Mochim, that this will add on in the future to come, specifically through our service in the long time that we are in the Galus. In other words, the Rebbe says, now that we're in our, the reason, if you will, that the Galus is so long, the Rebbe said, is to give us a time and an opportunity to reveal the innermost part of the Torah, to reveal the innermost part of the Chassidus and the goodness, that all this energy will come out when Mashiach comes. We will see all this innermost dimension that we're revealing now. And especially in the latter generations of the exile, where it became a specific mitzvah to learn Kabbalah and the deep secrets of the Torah, where previously it was forbidden. And specifically afterwards, to spread out the well springs of the Baal Shem Tov, the Chassidus as well, to the outer parts of the world. In a way that is enclosed in a Chachma Bina and Das, that we can understand, that it makes sense. And through the Torah of Chassidus Chabad, starting with the Alter Rebbe and continuing through all our Rebbes, throughout all the generations, that from after time and time, the innermost dimension of the Torah kept getting more revealed and more revealed and more revealed. We're actually learning right now the deepest part of the Torah that's ever been revealed. It's the most recent part of the Torah that's ever been revealed. And we know throughout time, we're just digging deeper and deeper and deeper and bringing that energy into the world. So there's a Torah. Yeah, okay. The Chora Efshar L'Sha'al. Now the Rebbe seems like there's a question that arises. Kivan Shebedor L'Dor Shemoitzes B'Rias HaTorah B'Rigas HaDoros. That since in every generation it seems that we're going down, God forbid, that things are in a descent. Im Rasha'aynim b'nei Malachim Anu b'nei Anashim v'im Rasha'aynim b'nei Anashim Einu Chulchu v'Alachas Kama V'Kam D'Rath Chadroi. Excuse me, the big side of the machine. How much more so does this apply to our generation, which is the heels of Mashiach, the footsteps of Mashiach, if you will. כיצד שתכן שדווקא אז נסקלסי ורחבה פנימיוס התורה יויסר בדורס הראשון. So the Rebbe said, since we find ourselves in such a low, lonely spiritual state, specifically now we're supposed to reveal the innermost dimension of the Torah more than before. How can it be? Why wasn't this revealed to the biggest Torah scholars in previous generations? And the answer is the following. Dafreda, what is the matter Magali as a tiny mastory and it's the meme. I mean, hastoimim. Oh, the Rakamola El Shadafreda, what is Adam Nasa Hegului the Gimahamoichin. And the Rebbe said it's specifically because we're in such dark times and we've fallen so low that we need a bigger and bigger light to get us through. And that's why we're now revealing a bigger and bigger innermost dimensions of the Torah, connected to the Mochi. The Rebbe said it's specifically through our work in the time of the darkness of the exile, which we are in the darkest of times, but specifically in our generation. Specifically now, we need to reveal the innermost dimension of the Torah. More than ever, it's important to learn Kabbalah and Chassidus to reveal that deep inner light of the Torah to combat the darkness in the world around us. Okay. Yud. The Shabbos Zu. Esri B'Tammuz Im Chag HaGeula. And we see this as specific relevance to this Shabbos, the 17th of Tammuz, and the Hag HaGeula. Now the Rebbe said that we can flip the world. Yedua sha'a yidei hama'asar v'ha'geula diyabesu gemol Tammuz notaisa v'chafutza smerusa chutza ad shezeh Abili Atzias Ba'a Hagula B'Medina Hahi. The Ach Yistashulus Ba'a Chetzi Gadora Hataktain V'Zeh Hayiser B'Gilui Penimes Torah. That after the Frierdiker Rebbe traveled to the lower part of the globe, meaning America, after and he continued in adding on, revealing the innermost dimension of the Torah. And he began the process of spreading out the well springs of the Torah, even more, much more than in previous generations. Welcome. And the Frierdiker Rebbe began this process of really raising up many students and many Bali Tshuvas, and bringing many people to the Torah. He was the forerunner to our Rebbe. The whole concept of shluchas, even though the Rebbe Rashab did send out a handful of shluchim, this whole concept of sending out emissaries began really with the Frierdiker Rebbe, and it started exploding after he came to America. And of course, when our Rebbe took over, it went exponentially greater. But it did start with the Frierdiker Rebbe, this idea. And we know that he brought up many, and that his redemption was not just a personal redemption, it was a redemption for the entire generation, as it says, because the head of the generation is connected to the entire generation. Because he gives the power, the head, to the entire generation. The Durazeh. I had someone at we had a Shever Brachas last night, and I had this rabbi at the table, and he was telling me how his son went away last they're not exactly from the Moshiach camp, not against, but they're not. And his son went away to a Mishachis camp, and for the first couple of weeks he hated it. He's like, but I keep saying he, and everyone's crazy here with the Rebbe and all this is crazy. I can't handle it. I want to leave. And he said he wanted to go, and he almost left, and he decided to stick it out. And after the first few weeks, he had the time of his life. He came back. He was wearing a kippah, and my friend told me he's never seen his son with so much chayas for Yiddishkeit, so much love for God, for the Rebbe. He was a different person. There was light on his face. He was excited to daven. He was excited to get up in the morning. He said, listen, let me make it real simple for you. The Rebbe, Melech HaMashiach, the leader of our generation, is the Yechida Klalit. That means the fifth level of our soul, the Yechida, the essence, the Pinta Yid that is connected to Hashem. All of that level of our soul is connected directly to the leader of the generation. So when our general Yechida is alive, guess what happens to us? We're alive. And if we, God forbid, take our general Yechida and bury it and say it's dead, guess what happens? We die. It's a pretty simple equation. And you see it by the way that people are serving Hashem. Anyhow, let's continue on. He gives the power of the leader to the entire generation. How much more so those of his students who actually got to see him face to face. And every year, the Frierdiker Rebbe continued on and increased his avoda of spreading out the well springs outwards. And more specifically, in our years of recent, excuse me. If you see we see that he started giving out more Chassidus and spreading more light. The Rebbe said, how much more so? The Rebbe once again is referring to his Nesias, his leadership, as a continuation of the Frierdiker Rebbe's leadership. And how more and more Chassidus is being spread out and more light is being spread out across the world. And the revealing the innermost dimension of the Torah and the secrets of the Torah. This, the Rebbe said, gives us the power, specifically from learning Panemius Torah, specifically from learning Chassidus. This gives us, and revealing in the world, this gives us the power to reveal levels of godly energy that are completely above the boundaries of the world, which are connected to the number 10, as we said earlier. In other words, the deeper you dig in the Torah, the more you reveal godly energy from above, right? It's like a wellspring. The deeper you go down, the more it sprouts out water. Same idea with the Torah. The deeper you go into the Torah, the more energy, godly light comes out from above. The Rebbe says, and specifically by revealing Torah Chasidus Chabad, this enables a person to learn and understand this deep level of godly energy of Chasidus, not just in your own seichel, but in the seichel of the nefesh behemis. It literally transformed your processing. I learned a mimer once, I forgot what year, from Lag BaOmer, where the Rebbe says when you learn Chasidus, it changes your physical brain. It literally builds more brain cells and expands your brain. It's mind-blowing. And we see this specifically as we add on and learn and teach more Chassidus in our generation. This is giving a special and unique power to the world to be a proper vessel for godliness. But the Rebbe says by learning and teaching Chassidus, we're making the world a vessel for godly energy. Until the entire world is transformed into a dwelling place for Hashem. And then the entire world will be fitting for the very essence of God to be revealed down here below. And we see this especially in our year. And the Hag of Gula is blessed on this Shabbos, the 10th of Tammuz. Parshas Chukas and Parshas Chukas, Shemurumaz al Chivar Shnei Ninim, the Shviva Esrei, as we said above, and this is hinting on the connection of the number 10 and the number 7, above the nature and within the nature. And this, the Rebbe says, is a proper vessel and preparation for the true and complete redemption. And specifically, we see the completion of the unification of the number 7 and the number 10. This brings about the completion of the world and the completion of the creation. Either told his parents, and of course, when Mashiach comes, we will see the beauty and the true completion of this level of godly energy from above the nature and within the nature. Yurav, recall the var tzrichim loloy melemar hara'ah b'pratis avodas Hashem. And now we have to see specifically as this relates to our service of God. How much more so does it apply to the Torah? The unification of the days of the week and the day of the month. But and specifically on this day, Yom HaShvi'i b'Shavua v'Yom HaEsrei b'Tammuz b'Chodesh, the 7th day of the week and the 10th day of the month. One of the things we can learn out is the following. Ubakal Yom Tzricha Liyois Eitzel Yehudi Avoda before Folag Achad. Avoda de Mehashvua, the service connected to the day of the week. Shiupal b'mitzia sa'edam v'shem yila elukus. That this is bringing about and causing through the existence of the world that will reveal godliness. And based on Avoda de Mehachodesh, the service connected to the day of the month. Shiupal Chidush Habriya. It brings even a higher level of godly energy into the world. And we see this work of the service starting from the second we crack open our eyes when we say Modeh Ani Lefanach. And what are we thankful for? Both of these matters. One, that God returned our soul. This is connected to the number 7, how God conducts the ordinary course of our lives of a yid and of everyone. And this is this level of God putting our soul back inside of us, that happens every single morning. Connected to the ordinary servants within the nature. And the second, Rabba Amunosecha, with great faith you have in me. This is hinting on a level of godliness that is above the world, above boundaries and limitations. And this is how it works with God. It says, that when we go above our normal boundaries, above our normal nature, the more we push for, the more God brings us blessings. We see a continuation throughout the blessings we say in the morning. And we see this connected to the way that God conducts the world. And then going through all the different brachas, all the different things that are connected to our specifically how we act in the world. And afterwards, and then afterwards we get to the bracha of the Torah, and the Torah preceded the world. The Rebbe is now just showing how both of these energies take place every single morning in our morning brachas. Avoda debira aguf hachoy kaya oilam shekash hareim bala hateva oilam ba'avoda digilui hanashama ba'avoda b'leim v'ratorah kimod mitzvah shlamam hagbala oilam, because the connected of learning Torah and doing mitzvahs is connected to our service of God above the world. K'muvan gam b'pashtus explained also in a different way. If you yet katan mavi sheish lo Shnei halukim guf and neshama. It says even a little kid knows that each one of us is connected as within us, a soul and a body. The body gets its nourishment from eating food and drinking. This is a connection to how we conduct ourselves according to the natural flow of the world. But the soul is something different. And how do we nourish our soul? Through learning Torah. So the Gashmi says, מוגבל בבין הסיועים ודרוש מידע מסיועים מאחור ומשקה בכדי שתהיה. This is not the case with a soul. A soul is not nourished through drinking and eating and bodily type of functions. On the contrary, it's nourished from ruchnius things. Ain't no bagbar Gashmis. Gashmis does nothing for the soul. ולכן היו מבין שהעבודה שעושה גם בגוף והגוף יעבוד את הקדוש ברוך הוא. הקשרים הגבלה is הגוף האודם. והעבודה שעושה גם עם נשמה הוא למעלה גבוה לאל. And of course, we need both of these. The soul and the body have to work together in a state of flow. And regarding the soul in of itself, Ishnam dargos, we sell also with the soul. We have two levels also. Penimis and Hashama, Chetzonius and Hashama, the innermost dimension of the soul and the outermost dimension of the soul. Excuse me. Kafish agam yuled mavin, with the varim shano again. לא even if ישנם דברים שנגועים בפנימיות נפשי, excuse me, דברים שנגועים רק בחיצוניות נפשי. וכך גם בעבודת שני חלקי הנשמה, חיצוניות הנשמה קשורה מדין הגבלה. The outermost part of our soul is connected to things we do within the bounds of nature or limitations. בערך לעבודה פנימיות הנשמה היא למעלה מדין הגבלה. But the innermost part of our soul, the part of our soul known as the Chaya and Yechida, the two highest level of our soul, those are not bound within our physical bodies. And to access those levels of our soul, it takes a service of Mesiras Nefesh. We have to go above and beyond our normal capacities. With the same thing with the Torah. We have the innermost part, which is above boundaries and limitations, and the outermost part, which is connected to the boundaries and limitations of this world. And same with the Torah. Even the innermost part of the Torah, you have the secrets of the Torah, and the secrets of the secrets being the Kabbalah, and the deeper secrets being Chassidus. And therefore we see that we must incorporate all these levels of our service every single day of our lives. And of course they all have to be unified together. A mensch has to be in balance. I was talking to one of the guys in the center the other night, and we were discussing this point at length. It's not a Jewish way to sit and dedicate your life to your craft, to be the best you can in your work, or the best artist you can be, or the whatever the case may be, to make the most amount of money you can, to get the biggest house you can. And those are all nice things. But guess what? Everything is an opportunity cost. There's only a certain amount of hours in a day, and there's only a certain amount of headspace we have to contain in those hours. So if someone, and I know many people like this, by the way, and they're not that they're bad, God forbid. They're good Jews, but they got swallowed up by the world. So all they do is live, eat, breathe, sleep, money. And they convince themselves they can give more tzedakah. But in the end of the day, that's not what it's for. It's to make more money. And so they buy a bigger house and get more cars. And again, there's nothing wrong with this. But if it becomes the whole focal point of your life, you've lost the whole point of what it means to be a Yid. We're here to serve Hashem. And that means we have to balance our energy. We have to have time to take care of ourselves physically. We have to exercise. We have to have hobbies that bring us joy outside of our everyday grind. We have to work and make a living and support our families. We have to learn Torah, the revealed part of the Torah and the concealed part of the Torah. We have to have time to give back to our community and give back to others, not just by giving tzedakah, but by giving of our time. We have to have time for our families. All of these things take time and energy. And if you leave one of them out, you're in a state of incompletion. And therefore, it's very, very challenging as a yid to just sit and say, I want to be as rich as I can. Something's going to pay the price, right? What good is it if you wind up divorced and separated from your family, or an alcoholic or a drug addict because you can't handle the pressure? So part of being and parcel of being a yid is balance. It's a wheel. And the center of the wheel is not you. It's God. When you put God in the center of that wheel and you connect all the spokes of the wheel around God, everything flows. And this is not an equation of 1 + 1. This is lifetime work of trying to establish this balance. Anyways, I've been rambling long enough. Let's get back into the inside part of what we're learning. Yud Beis. The Noga Bafua. And as it comes to actuality, because the Maisa Hua Iker, the main thing is the deep. And specifically as we find ourselves close to the day of the 12th and 13th of Tammuz. We have to continue in our work of spreading out the well springs of the Torah further out into the world. And it's important, the Rebbe said, to set times throughout the day that we learn Torah and have Torah classes. If it doesn't go on your calendar, it doesn't get done. This is the number one rule of successful people. It took me a long time to learn this, and when I did, it changed my life. To-do lists keep going on and on and on. My pleasure. There's nothing wrong with to-do lists, but you're always going to cross off and add on and cross off and add on, and that's fine. But your to-do list have to occupy places in your calendar. Any successful person in the world lives and dies by their calendar, because if it doesn't make it in your calendar, by nature, we're going to gravitate to do the things that are easier, that cause less resistance, and often the things that we need to do the most are the ones who cause the most resistance. So what do? We push it off. It's like going to a doctor or going to a dentist. You know that you have problems with your teeth. You don't want to go to the dentist. Why? Because you're afraid it's going to drill you. So what do? You put on your to-do list, go to the dentist. And how often does that go? From a week to a month to a next month to a next month. It never gets done. You got to call up, make a freaking appointment, and plug it into your calendar. It's the same thing in our daily lives. If you don't have a set time, you're going to go to the gym and you wait till you feel like it, you're never going to go. If you don't have a set time where you go to work and you just work when you feel like it, you're never going to work. It's the same thing with learning Torah. It's the same thing with everything we do. Calendar, plug things in. Have a set time every day to learn. And everything in your life, you have to have a set time, but especially learning. And especially learning, the Rebbe says, we have to learn in the outermost part of the Torah, and especially the peninius of the Torah. That's how we bring Mashiach. And of course, we have to learn both of those. We have to learn the Kabbalah and the Chassidus as well as the Nigla. Have to have a balanced diet, body and soul, right? Have healthy mind, healthy emotions, healthy body, healthy soul. said that בזה על פי נגלה ביוחד עם הביור בזה פנים מסוימים כפי שמציינו ביוחד בדברי תורה ורבותינו עשינו שדפים פרטים לאחרונים. And we see the tremendous effort by our Rebbes as of recent by spreading out the teachings of the Chassidus even further. And the Rebbe is imploring us to do the same. And also we have to be as precise as we can in fulfilling the mitzvahs. But and we do this by having kavanah when we do a mitzvah, right? It's hard, but we should have intention when we're doing that mitzvah. How much more so should we have intention that mitzvah is helping bring Mashiach? The Tate Hagash and Yuchad Yuchad Im Kia Mitzvahs before you Bezeh Gam. Kavanas and mitzvahs are shlemus. By having a proper intention, this brings a completion to the mitzvah. Gam b'kima mitzvahs ba'ifan lefanim mishurim hadin k'lo mi'achad b'mitzvahs tzedakah. And the Rebbe says specifically, we've got to be careful with the mitzvah of tzedakah. Hagam shebetzedakah lo yinoig b'kavana hanoisein avo harei yedua shel hamatzvah hi b'shlemus yisira kasher oisim oisim b'sever panim yafot. When you give tzedakah, it counts. If you drop money and if someone picks it up, it counts. But how much more so, the Rebbe says, when you give with a smiling countenance, and you don't look at the one is collecting like, you fucking bum, leave me alone. The idea is to do it b'chesed and have an intention right behind. The ha'isem minatina said tzedakah b'pol v'yichadim ha'isvu neshama mitzvahs. The idea is to have the innermost soul of the mitzvah we're doing as well. All the tzedakah and also we have tzedakah. The Rebbe says, by the way, we talk to one another. I need the tanah as a type of this by saying a good word to another person. Guess what? That's tzedakah also. And a good thoughts. If you look at another yid with a good eye and with a good thoughts, that also brings about the concept of tzedakah. You know, the Rebbe Rashab said there's a reason why God gives us two eyes. According to the Peshat, according to the medical science, they'll tell you to balance out your equilibrium and make sure everything is, perception, depth perception and whatnot. But according to Hasidus, God gives us a right eye to always look out and see the good in others, and a left eye to see in others the work that we need to do upon ourselves. In other words, we should never look at another with a judgmental eye. The judgment we should be using is to see what God is showing us that we need to work on ourselves. Yeah, because and how much more so does this all apply, not only to ourselves, but through Ahavas Yisrael and positively affecting another. Yud Gimel. The kasher im hagagul atzmai, and this is connected to the day of redemption in and of itself. The sois gam es kol hakavana, hakanois, metaimois l'seder hitvadut. The kasher im hagagul v'kol makayim b'yom hametaim, lefi t'nei hamakoyim, v'yoyim the yud beis tamas, o yud gimel tamas, o b'shnei yamin, o gam b'yamim shla'achar. The Rebbe said we have to have forbringings. Before Yud Beis, after Yud Beis, as many forbringings as possible. And we should bring as many Yidden together to take part in these forbringings. Because we strengthen one another. And we should take good resolutions upon ourselves during these forbringings. It's important that we don't just, get sheker for the sake of getting sheker. In adding in Torah and mitzvahs, and how much more so in spreading out the innermost dimension of Chassidus, be Hashem's will. Should take me ad mamish, that immediately, even before the day of the redemption of the freedom of how much more so before the 70th of the Tammuz. We should already be in the redemption. And that these 3 weeks will automatically be transformed to days of joy and goodness with a true and complete redemption through Moshiach, our righteous Redeemer. And it should be in the most simplest say. Melech made David. And a king will arise from the house of David, and he will go in the way of Torah and mitzvahs like his forefather David. Yukaf al Yisrael lelech bo v'chazek b'daka, and he will strengthen the Jewish people to return to Hashem. And he will fight the wars of God. And he will be successful. And he will build the temple in his place. And and he will gather the Jewish people together. This is psak in a Rambam, as the Rambam says according to halacha. V'kol zeh nase ba'ofen rabbeis ma'ofsi be'eretz Mitzrayim. She'oi b'chayosi b'Mitzrayim b'gbolim ha'galus. Mizgala rabbeis mufsi. And just like he took us out of Egypt, he will show us wonders, and we will break through any boundaries or limitations. V'nase rabbeis mufsi ba'ofen she'ka'asher she'oilim yechadi. Ma haya mufeses acharein shira. Hu mashi ma pisam acharein. Yisnavi oy rabbeis mufsi rabbeis v'lashin Torah v'rabbeis v'yosef v'yisabah ha'gvula. And immediately the true complete redemption should happen right now. And just like when I took you out of Egypt, I will once again show you wonders. Wonders as they were as when I took you out of Egypt. And even more in number and more in quality. And the dead will arise from the dust. That's going to be freaky, isn't it? And the Baal Hagula will be the leading one amongst them. It says the righteous will rise up first. And all the Jewish people will come together, healthy souls and healthy bodies. And our young and our old. And our sons and our daughters. Ta'asim im anine shemaya, and we will travel on the clouds of glory. Eretz HaKodesh to the Holy Land, Yerushalayim HaKodesh to the Holy City of Jerusalem, the Har Kodesh to the Holy Mountain, the Beis Hamikdash Shlishi to the third temple, Mikdash Adonai Knei Yadecha, the one that God will establish with His own hands. Hashem should bless us all. We are going to be traveling with the center this Thursday to hike Machu Picchu. So if anyone happens to be in Peru, we can farang together. If not, we will see you long before in the Beis Hamikdash. But there will be no shearing for the next 2 weeks. And we will be returning to our normal schedule on July 16th, the 27th of Tammuz. Chas v'shalom, we are not in the Beis Hamikdash, hearing from Melech HaMashiach himself. God bless you, Moshiach Now.